Good evening, everyone. Two huge things, of course, crushed the news cycle the last few days. It's hard to find anything else almost. The launch of the Nancy Roman Space Telescope, and of course, Trump announcing the Space Academy. Well, on that one, of course, you can probably guess what will happen to that in 150 years or so. Astrom Space is going public and looks to be a $1 billion deal. NASA awards $20 million to a firm working on a gravity sensor. That should be kind of cool. Here's something that's going to give everybody kittens again. China is developing a reusable space plane for commercial missions, no less. ESA kicked off their EU launcher challenge. There's actually have 4 entries, and we can actually tell you who they are. NASA Glenn is developing a space nuclear reactor. And here's a twofer from Canada. Newfoundland and Labrador are investing about $4 million to support an Atlantic spaceport complex. I guess there's a lot of polar launches going on. And a company called MDA Space Launchpad Ventures are investing directly in small, medium businesses. And the puzzler of the day, why is SpaceX lobbying the FCC to go after the Rocket Lab Iridium deal? We'll talk about that. All this and our guest, Troy Morris. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. And of course, this program is brought to you by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And what do? We champion and strengthen emerging space startups, space adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy. Our legendary pitch events and world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor ready. Now, in addition to this podcast, which has become kind of a crown jewel of our activities, is still largely supported by our listeners and fans like you. So if you just go to cscf.space/support and click that plainest day donate button right there, $10, $25, $50, $100 even is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it makes a big difference for us, and it's U.S. tax deductible. And to sweeten the deal, we have a special offer this month. Donors will receive a free special report in their inboxes on the first 25 years of new space, how we went from nothing to 700 billion in the space of a single generation. And I wrote it myself. Inspiring material. You're going to want this. Don't wait for the movie version, which is, coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. And speaking of friends, my longest space friend, Michael Laine, who just finished painting a Cairo monogram on his garage door, is here with us. Michael, come on in, man.
Hey. How's things?
How's it going, eh?
How's it going, eh? Is that homage to our friends in Canada?
Yes, our Newfie friends who are gonna build out their spaceport. Good for them. We're saluting them this week. Yeah. Other than that, I've just been having my head down doing stuff. It's getting close to tax time for me, so I always put it off until the bitter end. Well, the bitter end has come,
right?
And I just kept my head down, crunching numbers, all day today and all day tomorrow, and maybe I'll be ready for mid-September. Other than that, just keep the plate spinning and all the stuff going on, and hoping for the best. How are you doing?
I had a pretty chill weekend. I'm a nerd and I own it, and I watched a hell of a lot of Harry Potter this weekend. They had the 25th re-release, and so I wound up watching 20 hours of 8 movies in a row, Saturday and Sunday. So I did nothing. I accomplished nothing over the weekend, and it was great. It was a total reset. That was fun. Yeah.
Here's my problem. I did some work in the yard and some hedging type work with Bev, and I did its thing. Yeah, they put this thing along a fence line and drag it around to do all this stuff. And I kept having to squeeze into places I don't belong to try to, put these things in place in between the places. Well, I got so bent up and destroyed over it. And this is what happens when you reach my age, man. Don't do it, because you have to. You're spending the whole day squeaking through this. You're getting the whole day, and you're just wrecking yourself, and you're getting this thing done. And at 36, I probably just could have shook it off and gotten up the next day and do it again.
Right.
But no, man, it took me all yesterday to recover.
Right. Yeah.
But just one creaky mess.
Oh
Man, that's just that was horrendous. But
nice.
I'm still here.
Right on.
Still, keeping the dream alive.
All right. Well, let's look at what's going on here. What's going on today?
Okay. Well, it's because this was, I scroll down in that one place I go to, I get all these news items.
Sure.
And for like 4 straight days, there's nothing except the Nancy Grace Roman space telescope launch. It was just half of everything. I had to search, like this through the hedge to find any kind of other link to something that wasn't that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, they're telling me we got to talk about it. So it's up there. It's lifted off. Whole new way to look for exoplanets and maybe life on exoplanets and who knows what else. And so it's a big day. It's an expensive day, obviously. So that's why they're making such big news out of it too, I'm sure, because this has been years in coming. And God knows how much they spend on that. Because
I don't know. I actually was looking, but you'd think that they would say it since it's been 4 different administrations have tried to kill this thing. So it's kind of a miracle that it flew at all. But
then they couldn't save a perfectly good one that's already up there. These same people, right?
You can't have too many telescopes, man. I'm going to push back on that. There's
absolutely. No pushback required. I mean, how do you miss the target?
I kind of love where it's going to the Lagrange point, right? Not the one I was talking about, Earth Moon Lagrange, but Sun Earth Lagrange 2. Way on the far side, in the quiet place of the solar system, looking out into everything else. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So this was actually kind of a twofer. We've mentioned it briefly. Of course, Trump announced the Space Academy. I still think, which is great. I think it's deserved. There's still some wrongness to it, but I figure they have 150 years to work that out. And you'll see the link. That's why.
One of the things that they're saying about this is and it's right there somewhere in the language location, to select the permanent physical location of the Space Academy appropriate to the chosen governance framework. And everybody is like, well, you don't have a choice. You have to put it at the Presidio of San Francisco. Duh. Right?
Right. They're not using it for much right now.
Right.
And haven't been for decades. So sure.
Yeah. Has to be the Presidio.
That is a vicious counterpoint to this. The next one in the pairing.
Yep.
Is a whole thing about Star Trek's 60th anniversary.
Yep.
And how to celebrate it. There's a whole thing on the things you can do, places you can go, where you can go geek out in public if you want. That's not it. That's not the one. It's the one right underneath the first link, that original link. That's the next one. Back it up.
Nope. I got it.
I sent it. I've got the exact same links.
Yep. Is it this one?
Because anyway, I lost the point I was making here was that in about 150 years, that thing's going to get renamed Starfleet Academy.
It is. Yeah.
And when they build Starfleet headquarters in the Presidio, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It'll get there. they still have to change those ranks to Navy ranks.
They do. They
You
do.
know, that's the big thing.
Like kind of ridiculous. Yeah. There was a lot. There was a lot of pushback in the early ranking system. In fact, my friend Major McLean and I, we submitted a request to Space Force about their ranking system when they were still trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Well, it also goes back to my undergrad days in the library there. I ran across a book while I was looking for some other stuff. It was written about that same period in history, you know, the Apollo era. And it was called then This New Ocean.
Right. Even back then, we knew. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the novels that were written by sci-fi authors of the era also used Navy ranks in their ships.
They do.
Laine, Larry Niven, you know, all those people.
Everybody knows that that's the right stuff.
Yep.
I kind of think that this new academy is a big deal. It was not on my bingo card at all. I did not see it coming at all, which I'm a little frustrated at because I kind of know some of the stuff that's happening. But not this time. I didn't know anything about it. I'm excited about the idea of an academy that ranks with Air Force Academy, West Point, and Annapolis. There was early conversations 5-6 years ago at the beginning of Space Force that does Space Force need an academy? And the resounding answer was absolutely not. In the same way that the Marine Corps trains at Annapolis with the other Navy folks, Space Force didn't need its own academy. It was going to be and so that this is not a Space Force thing. This is a NASA program. It's kind of a big deal. Also very interesting, George Whitesides, congressman from California, big Navy advocate, big NASA advocate for a long time. He had some immediate pushback. It's like, well, it's kind of not up to the president to do this if Congress doesn't back it. And I'm not saying we're not going to back it, but I just want to like point out where the money is actually coming from. And does Congress agree that we need it? So it was interesting, kind of like, you know, Reds versus Blues in that moment. But I do think it was a very useful check on the president's power, even though I really support this idea a lot. So we'll see how this plays out. But I'm excited for it, and especially if it goes to the Presidio in California. So.
Right. Well, again, it's all the space geeks of whatever color are going to be all for it.
Yeah.
So we come together.
Space is purple. We've said it lots of times. Space is purple. Let's do a quick shout out. Hey, Latrell, Morty, good to see you guys. Appreciate it. Ryan, I don't believe I recognize your name. Glad you are here. I'll look you up afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, next up, it looks fancy, but it's just really quick. This company called Astrum Space Inc. I guess it's out. I guess they work mostly out of the Asia Pacific, out of Singapore, but they're developing a next generation satellite to device. So that's the new flavor of the month, S2D, broadcast network, and they're going through they're going public through a SPAC of sorts. With Black Spade Acquisition Company, and it's supposed to be valued at $1 billion. Again, they have never heard of.
Right.
Somewhere else in the world is getting $1 billion.
I've been looking into these SPACs a lot over the last couple days.
Yeah.
They're fascinating creatures. And very frequently, what you see on the headlines is not what you get at the company level. So just because it says valued at $1 billion doesn't mean they got $1 billion.
But they did have something.
It says they got 172 million in cash in trust. Sorry, go ahead.
As of today. Yeah.
So
they're going to try to add to that. But I thought there's space and money. It was hard to find money this week. Everything was about the launch and the Space Academy. And so, but I like this one. NASA awards something this interesting name, Inflection. They gave him $20 million to work on a quantum gravity sensor. Well, the Quantum Gravity Gradiometer Pathfinder, which is a mission to develop a space-based quantum gravity sensor. I didn't know we needed that, but apparently we do.
Right.
How can I put that in my car? What can I do with it?
Right.
I'll find a quantum. There's some quantum gravity right here. I'm going to pull over. Maybe I can get a picture. Right. That's right. It'd be a special episode of the unknown quantity.
Right.
Here it is.
Here's a quantum gravity.
Now.
All right, let's move on to China building a space plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of space planes. I mean, I like the X-37B. I like the old space shuttle program. I think Sierra Space is doing some pretty cool stuff. Black Star doing some cool stuff.
So which design did China borrow to make?
X-37B.
Yeah,
no,
that's thinking too.
Yeah, no, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Well,
they want to use it for space tourism.
Yeah, well, this is the second one that came out of China since Blue Origin closed down its suborbital, roller coaster ride.
Well, they got 10 times the bodies to throw at any problem than we do.
Right.
So their organizational structure is completely different. No, you have 10 engineer, we throw, you have 1 engineer, we throw 10.
Right.
And we'll get it done. We'll figure it out. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, good luck to them. But we predicted this was going to happen.
We did.
We did when they're starting to shut down the other stuff. It says, well, somebody's going to pick up that slack.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's our biggest adversary. Hello, gee, who saw that coming?
Yeah, right.
And Michael.
I didn't. So I had a conversation with some folks trying to put together a spaceport a couple days ago on Friday, and I don't have a lot of confidence in horizontal takeoff. We've talked about it before. Right. Where do you stand
that's
on
what they're building? That's why all our launch facilities are the vertical ones. That's why we have a shortage. They spent 2 decades ago, they started building out for horizontal launch, and now they're just sitting there dying and gathering dust because nobody went there.
Right. I think the day has come where these are. I'm not going to say they're dead tech, but I do think they're driving themselves into a cul-de-sac. But we'll see.
But like the Chinese and the X-37, that's a vertical launch, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can come back horizontally all you want.
Yep.
So that's the problem there. Okay. Let's go. What do we got? ESA. They're doing the first European Launcher Challenge. And they actually signed some contracts between ESA and some launch service providers. And the first 4 apparently are ISAR Aerospace, which I've heard of.
I know Rocket Factory Augsburg.
You know those? I don't know those.
Yep. And PLD Space.
PLD Space, I know them. Maya Space, I'm not so sure. That thing's huge compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
And so... But they've been talking about this for a while, the European Launcher Challenge. It's the first time I've seen actual people making actual hardware that got an actual go-ahead and some money to go do it. And so I thought it was worth noting.
Well, and it's big money, too. RFA gets 186 million, PLD 158, ISAR 197. Like, these are good contracts if you can get them. So
Yep.
That's pretty neat. Yeah.
And again, it's all that about sovereign again. That big the S word. They want sovereign capability.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they will get some. Next big thing. I like this. I kind of like this one. NASA Glenn is helping develop a nuclear fusion powered interplanetary spacecraft. It's called the SR-1 Freedom's Nuclear Power Module. And so they're not lobbying for $1 billion, but they think they can able out of $20 billion worth of failed programs over time. They think they can get the job done finally. And Eisenberg himself said SR-1 will build on lessons learned to be cost effective for everybody. So, but that would. But they think, well, in 2028, they think a Falcon Heavy could deliver this thing to space within a year and a half.
Okay.
And then it will go straight to Mars where it delivers the Skyfall payload. So,
well, but they also say to space no earlier than 2028. So
yeah.
18 months is the starting point, not
right.
the.
Still, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It is NASA. We'll find it. We'll see.
Oh, but remember that 2028 deadline's a pretty big deal, right? A lot of people are building systems to hit that 2028 deadline.
They are.
Right? We are SpaceX, Blue Origin. This is like the third thing NASA's got coming out for 2028. So, yeah, they're going to keep saying that number 2028 for a while.
Yep. They're going to be saying it for a while until it flies by.
Yeah.
Then they'll be saying 2030. Yeah.
Right.
But okay, we only got 3 things left to go. We're doing pretty well. And the next 2 are from Canada. So our neighbors in the Great White North, the provincial government of Newfoundland and Labrador, they're investing $4 million to support continued development. Apparently, this is already in process of Nord Space's Atlantic Spaceport Complex in St. Lawrence. And they want to create and attract high-skilled jobs and attract private sector investment and strengthen economic opportunities throughout the province. And so when you're that far north, what are you attracting? What do you get there? Just better, more. I want to say more better polar orbits. There's got to be other stuff.
I don't think, the folks in Washington State, I'm going to use our example. We're still south of where these guys are. But Alaska and Washington State, they've done pretty well trying to make a plan for polar orbits. But read the fine print here. This investment counts as a loan, $1 million term loan, and a $3 million forgivable loan for the creation of up to 100 new full-time permanent positions by 2033. That's what's really happening here, right? And I bet you that definition of 100 full-time positions is going to be very flexible. So that's what I think is happening there.
Okay. Well, here's what adds to it then. That next link is another independent outfit called MDA Space Launchpad Ventures. And I guess MDA Space is launching this. Launchpad Ventures. They'll make direct investments in Canadian small and medium-sized businesses developing space and defense technology. And they've identified 25 focus areas, which they call Canada's sovereign priorities. Oh, there's that word again. And so businesses seeking investment can apply easily through an online form, and the link is in the article. And so they did something called Launchpad in 2018, and they did some things, and now they're launching something bigger, and they're doing it again. Maybe some of it will find its way to the facility in Newfoundland. So
it doesn't seem like it's an accident that those are announced basically in lockstep. MDA has been a force for the Canadian space program for a long time. I think they're the biggest Canadian space company. I can't think of anybody who would be bigger than them. Detweiler, what's the M? Malcolm Detweiler and Associates or something, MDA.
Yeah.
But they created the first Canada arm for the station, right? They have been around for got to be 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And when I've said before that Canada plays the dance really well because they can submit on ESA contracts and NASA contracts.
Sure.
They're in that perfect spot. So,
okay. Yeah, we're getting nagged to get to our guests.
Yeah.
One more thing, as Steve Jobs would say. One more thing.
One more thing.
And I don't get this. This is the I don't get it moment of the day. SpaceX pushes the FCC to scrutinize Rocket Lab Iridium deal amid a spectrum clash.
Yeah.
What the hell? Are you kidding me? You think there isn't room enough in the universe for both of these guys?
That is
almost lawfare. What they're doing.
I was just about to say, I wish we had Michelle Hanlon on this call because I would really like to get her take on this because that is straight up lawfare.
You know, I don't get it, but I had to mention it.
Yeah, straight up lawfare.
You know, I mean, it's one thing that they might face resistance through going through the bureaucratic process to get the okay for the merger, but to get resistance from their own competitor.
Yeah.
And then try to turn the screws on the regulatory environment in their favor. That's just, you're already at the top of your game. That kind of dirty pool is something you just don't need.
You don't. Yeah,
it just hurts everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love Elon, but you know what? Some days, you know.
That's what that monopoly position buys you, though. It buys you preferential treatment.
Yeah.
So we can't.
Well, anyway, let's move on. But I noted Veronica Ann showed up. Hey, I'm sorry you're late too, but yeah, welcome back. Hope you're doing okay. God love you. And we're going to move on to our guests now. Tonight, Troy Morris, who's been about a year and a half since he was here last, co-founder and CEO of Cal Morris Inc., returns to the program to give us the latest in a whole bunch of things that they're doing. And I'm sure space debris mitigation will be part of our conversation. Troy, come on in, man.
Thanks for having me on again today.
Welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Good to be seen. I was sitting there, in the backstage, just like, oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. So I love the packed news. You don't give us 90 seconds to chew on the first piece before you're handing in the second. So I enjoy the speed you guys are cutting through tonight.
Take notes if you want to talk about one of the things we just
is there something you want to talk about?
All right, we'll just put a quarter in. You go, man.
I think the best and funnest part is one that would make my mother-in-law proud. Star Trek. Obviously, of all those great topics, that's the one of, it was something that our company is a few days, if not weeks, older than Space Force. So as it's elder, getting those names and those norms that people are expecting is a key detail. So I think that's the safest opinion I can give on a whole myriad of other, between telescopes up and down and other big things. I think that's the safest place I can say is, yeah, I think we all want a little bit more Star Trek in our day-to-day.
Right.
Absolutely.
6-year anniversary.
Okay, so how's it going? I know you guys, because 4 years ago, you guys participated in my business plan competition in Paris. And that was so much fun, especially the boot camp part. So are you still building that machinery? It's going to bring down aging boosters?
Eventually aging boosters, but as was discussed 2 weeks ago, there's a lot more near-term customers that are begging and demanding for that tentacle system. So we did fly it on the ISS, and actually, fun enough, my co-founder will be back in Paris next week or the week thereafter. I don't know. European time gets funky because we've been invited to some dinners with our international partners, including President Macron. So it's going to be a triumphant return for us back to Paris because we've gone to space, proved the hardware, have a customer, and now, well, I don't get to eat the dinner, but one of my co-founders gets to eat a very nice dinner with some very nice people. So it's been a heck of a journey over those last few years here.
So tell us about Paris a little bit.
So it's the city in France. No, so it's something that
I earned that. That's fair. That's fair.
And there was other ways to take it, but so the Paris trip is politely, and I mean this at all to our one of our longest standing national allies, is a small blip on the upcoming calendar. It's something that KMI has been engaging with the United States Department of State, Commerce, other organizations, and we were invited. We honestly first thought it was spam of, hey, the president, the office of the president wants to invite you to this. Like, yeah, sure. Whatever. And it was only when we got a callback of hey, you guys didn't respond to this email from this morning. You going? And so it was something that we started to recognize, yeah, we're being invited to Austin and San Francisco and New York and Paris because what we're doing is a new capability. So for those who aren't aware, hi, I'm Troy, co-founder, CEO for KMI. KMI Space, we are building the tow trucks for space. So if you go to our website, you'll see some of the hardware we had up on the International Space Station. That was to provide the unprepared, uncontrolled, uncoordinated grapple of how do you grab stuff in space? If you don't have a few astronauts sitting in a space shuttle ready to point at the exact right spot you want, as we saw with STS-51A and a few follow-on missions, it's really hard. And so being able to go up, securely grapple with something non-destructively and then release it is something that KMI has now proved out hundreds and hundreds of times. And so as was announced again 2 weeks ago with our Stratfi Award, KMI has been selected to build the full-fledged mission to prove out this capability, not just in the lab, not just in simulation, not just in the ISS, a very challenging environment, but into the free, absolute vacuum horror that is space itself. So we couldn't be more excited to go after one of the most challenging environments with a smile on our face.
Right.
Good.
Nice.
Oh
Nice.
man,
Nice.
that is cool. And so I don't know how many specifics you can get into on the deal you're brokering, but you can give us an overview of what the goal is, what you're going after, what you're grabbing onto, if you're grabbing onto anything.
Yeah, so I'll be able to speak in some vagueness for some parts and some assurities for others because the guilty parties haven't been named, but more details are currently with their press office. So I am biting to be able to say more soon. Stay tuned to KMI social medias. I think our LinkedIn is obviously the most active one for the aerospace industry. So we were one of the 11 groups that were announced down at Fed Supernova by Director of Space Force Arthur, many of his good peers on stage. Most of them have helped us very personally of getting this Stratfi from, okay, we have a phase 2, we built this tentacle system, it flows on station. How do we get this to go do something? How do we make an impact? How do we go prove out a capability for the warfighter, for the commercial customer who's waiting right there second in line? And so this mission that will be fully announcing more details over the coming weeks and months. It will be to go up with a full spacecraft to commission it. A lot of steps on the ground before we get there, but commission it in space and go after a number of real, actual existing satellites to grapple, control, and deorbit those objects. So the who's, the what's, the where's is to be announced, but it's something that this is the full mission where we've done our practice shots. We've done 10,000 swings back in the lab. Right. And so now we're able to take that out to do this full mission, tentatively ready to launch on our side by the end of next year. But with launch windows under the constraints that have recently happened, we're expecting to be up in the air Q1 of 2028.
Oh, cool.
Let's back up for a second because you said something really important that I don't know that all of our audience really understands. Difference between a TACFi and a StratFi, but then go back in time. What do you have to do to get a StratFi? Because there's a lot of filters between I have an idea to I'm funded with a program. So walk through those steps.
I have never quite stepped back long enough to look at the from TRL 0 of wouldn't it be cool to do something in space all the way to StratFi? I have never chained that linkage long enough together. That is an existential dread that I love. I'm gonna have to get a few whiteboards together to track them all out. But for us, it was something that in the late summer, early fall of 2019, my two co-founders, Adam Call, Austin Morris, and myself, all working in our corporate jobs outside of aerospace. We're all aerospace adjacent. We are seeing, wow, this reusable launch thing is really cool. Well, other people have solved launch, so I guess we kind of missed that boat. I guess we'll just have to wait for the next once-in-a-generation type of scientific. Wait a second. What happens when people get to any new place? they create new problems. So you get to California for the gold rush, you're like, great, who's going to wash our pants? Who's going to make our food? Suddenly you have some of the biggest domestically owned businesses in the country coming directly descended from the gold rush in California. So while I'm no good at a walk and I, barely can wash my own shirts, we found instead it was mobility. That was the area that if you're going to have all this activity, all this human launch, all these things going up, good, bad, and otherwise, some of them are going to fail. And already we were aware of the space debris issue. I think that's what we were last talking about, Tom, last time I was here, is there's these rocket bodies, there's these defunct satellites, there's these newly launched satellites that just get in a death spin or they never turn on. We're just, as a species, continuing to add more to this environment that, yes, space is huge, but it gets a lot smaller when the slowest you go is 17,500 miles per hour. So 2019 came up with some of these ideas. Okay, let's, put our brains together. Let's, quit our stable 401k jobs. The economy is just going to continue to go up. It's the end of 2019. So things are going great. And so we started moving our co-founders March of 2020.
Fantastic.
For those who been under a rock for the last 7 years, that was one of the biggest pandemics we've had in 100 years on this planet. And so that gave us a great opportunity to really connect with an industry that we were largely outsiders to. We brought in a lot of first principles, new perspectives, found a lot of good people, also a lot of great people who should not have been letting us in their, digital meeting rooms, but it was the pandemic. They had little else to do. They're like, well, yeah, I'm the director of all small sats for NASA. What time Tuesday do you want to meet? I'm free. And just these opportunities we would not have today. And so recognizing our luck, our timing, our tenacity, we push through and get to, I think, the first hurry up to get to the point, Troy, phase 1 SBIRs. So small business innovation research, landed a few of those in the July of 2021. We're able to finally pay ourselves, bring on our first employees, and begin a few research programs with partners. Those were STTRs, if we're being technical, but we won some SBIRs, some STTRs, and advanced those to a phase 2. Phase 1 is a little bit of, okay, you had a neat idea, you put it on a few pages of paper. It's a white paper.
Yeah.
The phase 1 deliverable is, okay, now kind of do the research project of it. Show me you can do something. We built prototypes. We actually went out and took the couple $100,000 they give you and built real prototypes that immediately started to set us apart from our peers, because you can't build a hardware space grade prototype for $250,000 and eat. And we're like, well, we kind of didn't eat.
Food's overrated. Come on, let's just build this.
Have you ever tried ice chips? They're fantastic. So
absolutely,
we make it to through that, really engage with a lot of customers, really start to understand what their pain points are: commercial, national security, civil space, and we make it to 2023. We convert quite a few of those into phase 2s. We went a direct to phase 2, and we're like, great, we got phase 2s. We're proving out the tech. We've already done some demos. Oh my gosh, we've just got awarded to go up to the International Space Station. We've got it made in the shade. Except there's a lot more barriers to that. And so I think that's really the key part, Michael, it seems that, as you know, for TACFIs and StratFIs, is it's kind of a program innovated only in the last half decade to take programs that have been awarded a phase 2, but are not yet a phase 3 program of record, like an F, pick a number. Those are programs of record. When you see an airplane at the air show, that is a program of record. When you see an idea in your LinkedIn feed or your Instagram or Twitter, that is something that's still living in the valley of death. That is something that is trying to prove itself to the customer, saying not only is it real, but we can build it repetitively, it can work repetitively, and it works reliably. And so kind of solving those questions is what this StratFi is for. TACFI is a smaller program that doesn't require nearly as many signatures and as partners. So I won't speak too much to that because we went straight for the head hog. We went for the StratFi. So I think I got the details from Arthur 2 weeks ago. There was, what was the number? 562 million brought together by us and the other 10 companies selected at this StratFi announcement in Austin 2 weeks ago. And with that, $245 million US dollars. Again, $250 million were pulled in, matching private capital. And so that's really the key piece for StratFi and versus an SBIR phase 1, phase 2, is that matching component of, we had to prove ourselves not just to a government champion and to the, I say this with all the love, contracting regulators, but also to private commercial customers, the investment industry, finance partners, capital partners, and we actually are one of the rare StratFIs that have ever brought a U.S. state to participate in the funding program. So I am biting at my fingertips to be able to share that. Not only are we doing one-offs on the International Space Station, let's get the states involved. They're part of this federation last I checked. So the United States really coming together at the state, federal, and private level.
Outstanding. So you can't give us hard numbers. I think that's what you're fighting against. So I can say that StratFi operates kind of like this. You get a government customer, so that's 1/4 of the equation, and they can go up to $60 million just for round numbers. So
you bring in total program.
So you bring in 15 million from a client, a government client, whomever that might be, sure would like to know. So there's $15 million from a government client. You also bring in $15 million. Those have to equal $15 million from the private sector. Sure would like to know who that is. So there's somebody who's written you guys a check. And then those two, the equal of those is half of the total amount. And then the StratFi program comes in with the other. Am I wrong?
You got a little bit convoluted. Don't worry. I've done briefings with the folks who actually signed on our StratFi agreement, and they still had us draw pictures on the board. So yes, for the maximum 15 from a government customer, government champion, then that would match to up to 15 million from the Small Business Administration SpaceWorks program. And then the lion's share, half of the entire pot comes from private. So that could be from the investors from the commercial. So it's slightly a bigger deal if you have to get all of these outsiders. It's one thing to sign a check on behalf of the U.S. government. Hey, my boss said it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother to get private companies, private finance, private capital to say, we also back this for our fiducial responsibilities.
Right. So from the investor's perspective, they walk in with a 2-for-1 leverage. I guess is really 1-to-1 leverage, right? They walk in with the value of their investment automatically being twice as high as when they walked, the day before. So that's pretty exciting. Those StratFis are pretty hard to get. If I'm doing the math right, you said there's 11 companies that got, and it was 500 million in total dollars. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. 562 and a half for those, playing along at home.
All right. Well, playing along at home, 562 divided by 11. That's an average of $51 million per org. Average. I know some are higher and lower, right? And I'm not asking you what your number is, although I want to know. 51 million is a pretty good average across all 11 of those organizations. So good for y'all. Good. That's a good crowd to be in. Good for you.
And it's a impressive crowd. I haven't fully crunched the numbers because we kind of came up with this idea about last night of, what has been the trajectory of the previous StratFi winners, of those that have gone on to raise a $500 billion valuation, those that have been IPO'd for big dollars, those that have now gone and put programs into orbit in multiple locations. I think one of the previous winners was part of one of the Victus recent missions. It's a pretty nice crowd that, again, it's a mountain to climb through because you have to get signatories from both the customer and an end user, and then 1,800 contract people around them, then a financial picture, and then you can start talking technical details. So it really is the second hardest thing I've ever pulled together. The other is, getting my wife to say yes, but that was one I had a little bit of an inside track there. But it's one that the StratFi is a huge accomplishment to, again, all the other members of this cohort and previous cohorts. There's a acknowledgement to each other of like, oh, you want a StratFi?
Yeah.
You know what it's like. It's politely terrible. So it's I've already had quite a few meetings with peers who are like, hey, how do we want a StratFi for this next year? I'm like, go to your kitchen, take a nice sized glass, put it in the disposal. And that's, the start of that cocktail, sometimes how it feels. Of just, it is chewing glass and saying thank you for the opportunity. But again, it is giving such an amazing acceleration opportunity for our company. that's why we do this. That's why we get out of bed for the hardest days and the early mornings, the late nights, is because we are changing the future. And this is just one of those, not stepping stones, but springboards that can launch us because we've been saying the acronym the whole time. It's a strategic funding increase. It's a very simple acronym. It kind of only is the 3 words that somehow shrunk down to save half a breath, but a strategic funding increase is exactly what this is the backing of the U.S. government, the Small Business Administration, and private capital of what KMI is doing.
Well, you had an interesting idea there, kind of buried in the middle there. If you are really, really going to do an investigation on the companies that won StratFi's, I'm going to recommend Tom Olson and Sean Key to do that report for you. I think they're really good at it. Not me. I'm not. But those two guys.
You happen to know some financial guys? That would be
I do. I have some ideas that
you.
They wrote a pretty big report for a financial a material sciences company just a few weeks ago. So, if you want to actually dig into get somebody to do that work, I would recommend those two guys. Just saying.
There might have been a secondary reason to bring it up on this conversation.
Right,
so,
right.
always multiple things in motion.
The question, though, it raises a question. StratFi's, what areas are currently being covered by that kind of model?
So, to my knowledge, it is active in the Air Force specifically, and then the Space Force, as someone correct me here, of a division of the Department of the Air Force.
Okay.
And it's a model that, as of if I remember my recent political congressional law assignments well from the last few months, something that when POTUS signed the SBIR reauthorization in April, also gave the strategic breakthrough platform as a similar, not StratFi, but darn near looks like a StratFi to the rest of the SBIR organizations, which maybe there's a dozen of those across the U.S. government, from the Department of Energy to I think the Forestry Department has a SBIR program. So
that's where I was going. It was basically, I know the StratFi's you're dealing with is a lot of it is space and defense, types of things that are going on there. Probably a lot of some Golden Dome money is probably floating through there too, I would. But I think is it a model that could be expanded and modified a little bit for other wider areas of the world? And from what you're saying, I guess they're doing it already.
Yeah, they're doing it already within the U.S. government ecosystem of SBIR is, I think, my favorite federal program of just being able to get so many dollars into innovation programs that we have just a wider industrial base, which KMI has been a part of that growth. And so the breakthroughs that they're working on now is a way to expand that experiment that they ran from AFWorks and SpaceWorks and this StratFi TACFi thing. Is it worth our dollars? Oh yeah, it is. By bringing in that, exactly as you said, Michael, that dollar matching. What investor doesn't like, walk into the casino, you put $100 down and the casino's like, well, here's 100 more chips.
Here's $100
Thanks for showing up.
Right?
Thanks for showing up. You haven't even rolled the dice yet. So it's something that, they are wonderfully rolling this program out across the wider innovation ecosystem in this country.
Yeah, it is really quite remarkable. I was around when Dr. Mosier at the Space Force was just beginning to have that conversation about some of that stuff. Colonel Felt at Air Force Research Lab, early adopter to that plan. It's remarkable, and it's going to do good things. So, it's a pretty good alum to be a part of that group. Pretty good alumni network to be a part of that group. Speaking of which, you're a part of the alum of this group, right? Of the Center for Space Commerce and Finance's business plan competitions. Patting ourselves on the back. You're welcome to pat us also on the back. What did you learn from our business plan competitions that got you to where you are now? What is there anything that you can remember that was useful that we got 2 publicly traded companies in our network. We've got a couple other really big wins. But we watch that stuff. So is there anything that you can remember from the classes that was like, oh shit, these guys are actually helpful to us.
Actually helpful, as in the rest was just noise and hanging out.
Right.
If we were on a in-person stage, is the part where I really walk up to the mic to just say clearly, it's being succinct. I think that was really one of the key parts of this, is that particularly in aerospace, but any science, technology, defense tech, anything that has just all these amazing widgets and phenomena and all these great details you really just want to sink your teeth into. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can say that simply by being, this is the point. KMI is going to change the way that mobility happens outside of space. Others get us to orbit. KMI is what's building the USS Enterprise. KMI is what's building these giant shipwrights of space. It starts with this mobility layer here in the 2020s, the 2030s. That's how we get to Star Trek. I think Starfleet, they missed the mark by a few hundred years. We're going to get to that stuff sooner. But it's about finding how can you get to the point, get people interested, but then you can lay them down with all the thousands of van der Waal forces and exciting pieces. But that initial, how do you set that hook?
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. Tom, they were in the Paris competition.
They were in the Paris BPs.
Yeah. I wasn't at that one.
We had done a public program like that in several years. Remember, through COVID, you and I were doing those
online,
virtual online versions, and that was the first time we actually got to break out into the real world. They were letting people, in the door again to have an actual conference, and so putting that together was quite a hunk of effort. But the competitors, all you guys, were absolutely amazing. And I think I even mentioned it on the stage. All of these guys need to get money. We can only give out an award to one group, but God, all these guys deserve funding. They're just absolutely amazing. We had an amazing couple of days with you guys and going through the boot camp and doing stuff. And it's like, wow. That was
and remind me, was that IAC 2021 in Paris, or that was a different year?
22.
22. Okay, 22. Okay, because that I don't know if I told you this story at the time. I was on my honeymoon when I was there in Paris. So that's the kind of support that founders really need to be able to get. This is that my loving wife joined and interrupted our Paris honeymoon through France and all these other great, amazing places to sit in a room and listen to me and a dozen other nerds talk about the most amazing things in the world. And we're still married to this day. So that's what I was like. I think I know
for both of you. Good for both of you.
Good for both of you. Yeah, I think I heard a little kiddo in the background when you first. Yeah, so I'm gonna guess things are going okay.
Things are going very well. He just turned 2. I can still say at the beginning of this month. So it's been a heck of a journey. I'm not sure which is more stressful and which is more gray hairs, fatherhood or being a founder. But both definitely brings their bumps and bruises. But it's inspiring to absolutely spin the message for a second. Like, why else would I be doing this other than it's for the next generation? I now get to hold the little tiny hand of that one part of the next generation. So no matter what he throws up on me or what he throws on my head, it's always something of like, yeah, I'm doing this for you, little bud. So it's an amazing part of my journey. So I'm glad that you guys now know you were a part of that. An interruption, a pause, or she saw, just something about me on stage. So I give you guys a lot of
that
points.
was it. That's what clinched it. She hadn't made up her mind before she said I do, but she did when she finally saw you on our stage. Yeah, that was. I'm sure that was it.
And it's that more real on stage in front of humans than just me pitching to my computer screen for all those months and years. She's like, oh, other people show up to these things. So
a bunch of them. Yeah.
One of the guys. Oh, go ahead.
That kid's gonna grow up never knowing what it was like to just throw away a rocket, launch it once, and throw it away. He'll never understand that. He'll be, you try to explain that to him, he won't get it. His head will explode. He'll be like, well, of course space is a business. It's a commercial thing. And you do reuse your booster rockets over and over and over 100 times. Of course you do. Who would just throw it away?
I mean, I have employees who have never lived in a time that we did not have humans living around our planet in outer space on the ISS. And like for them, it's a historical fact. Like Columbus sailed the ocean, Plymouth Rock, and we have humans in space. These are all just historical facts. And it's like, it's wild and wonderful sometimes that part that's so, talking sometimes to this recently graduating class or these rising students now. I spoke to one this morning and like, yeah, so you guys are a space company, that's fine. So how can we help you as this like pro bono student thing? We're going to do this consulting. I was like, you just accepted that we're a space company just like it's raining? I love it.
Yeah.
Right. Checkbox. Yeah. I had an intern this last summer who was he was born 2 years before the iPhone. He's never understood a world that didn't have a computer in his pocket. Yeah. So all right. So that's where our history is. What does our future look like? What does 5 years look like? And what does 25 years look like? And I'm going to ask a question. It's a little hot potato. So if you want to skip it, you can. But I'm going to guess that, grabbing something in orbit looks an awful lot like a weapon to some people. So does your Straffi have anything to do with that?
I mean, the tow trucks for space, it looks very hostile. If you're sitting underneath the broken down car on the highway and you see a hook come scraping underneath there.
Right.
But the biggest thing is it's stuck in the way of commerce. And so that's really been something that we've been able to talk to a number of our allies. It's a lot easier to speak to a country that's friendly with you than those that might be more adversarial and distrustful. Mm-hmm. But it's something that we see this as, a peaceful place and a positive point for all humanity. Our tagline as a company is keeping space clear for all. If I and my son want to go do a weekend, not at Disney World, not at Disneyland, but at Disney Orbit, it's a lot easier to do that if we're not dodging debris and, different shrapnel going past each other. So it's something that, the first time someone picked up a rock, he can choose to either sharpen a spear or he can make a plowshare. And so it's something that, yes, dual use is an absolute capability. But also it's something that this capability has so many more uses. I look back to the McDonald's standard of the Cold War. It's something that sometimes commerce builds a lot more bridges than it might do bombs. And so that's really where we're working at. So between today, 2026 to 2031, KMI will be operating more than a dozen of our spacecraft in multiple orbits. In 2031, we'll be operating around $100 million in annual recurring revenue. And we'll be already having purchased and starting to build out our collection station. So this is something that if you really want to be able to scale and succeed in space, yes, you can launch. Yes, you can come back to the atmosphere and go back and forth every time. But I get lazy. I finally started putting drinks in my fridge instead of just going by one soda at a time down at the grocery store. It makes sense to position your resources near to where you're operating. And that's going to be just the same for space. So 2031, it's going to be a wonderfully, amazingly mundane year for KMI as we're just continuing to operate these spacecraft to go and move things in space the same way that airplanes land every minute across the country. We don't get news updates on those anymore. It just happens.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant. All right. We got 2 minutes left. Talk fast. 25 years.
25 years, that puts us 2051. I hope I'm still kicking here telling funny stories. And so at that point, that's where we're at Shipwrights. We've done factories in space. We've done space to space from Lagrange points to the moon. And it's something that it makes economical sense to just build in space. And so that's something that some of the investors we're talking to now are looking at. Hey, this is cool for the next few years, but we're a family office. We're looking at long returns. How do we do that? It's the step of touch. It's the mobility. It's how do you actually do the step of today, building the knowledge for tomorrow. So 2051, we're building stuff in space, bud.
Right on.
Good. Well, by then, I hope your son is joining you up there.
If my wife allows it, if she allows it.
Dad's job and goes up there, and then he's flying around. He's representing the company, and he's doing a lot of good work. And he loves it as much as you do.
Yep.
I wish that for you.
That's the little dream.
Absolutely. Troy Morris, co-founder and CEO of KMI Space. Lots of stories to tell, and we're going to have you back because there's a few stories you couldn't tell this evening, which we would like to hear about later. So come on back, man, and stick around for a few minutes afterwards. We'll do a wind down.
I'd love to. Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me here again. Look forward to more updates. And again, by the time we get on here for a full conversation, there'll be 85 things that we'll even forget about this. The Straffi, that was a small little springboard for you guys now.
Right.
So that's the wonder of space is we're building bigger and better. So thank you so much.
Okay, thanks so much, Guy. See you soon. Okay, amazing show. As always, we find these people for the guests, wonderful people. And we're going in a little bit different direction on this Thursday. We're going to be looking at space business development in Africa. And our guest is, I have to pronounce this right, Barry Abdoulaye. I think you pronounce it. He's the CEO of AASQ out of Central Africa. And he's been doing a lot of interesting things, judging from what I saw in his profile. So we're going to be talking a lot about that and how that's going to factor in for the next 25 years, and the effort that Africa will be making, and to join the future. Yeah,
Right on. Cool.
The guy we had in our panel at ISDC said, "Oh yeah, Africa is going to own the future."
Kenya, Ghana, the African Space
Yep,
Agency.
that's it.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. I hope you do it. So we're going to talk more about that on Thursday, and Monday is Labor Day, so we're not going to. We're doing a rerun on Monday. We're going to take a little break, but then we have a guy who's inventing a warp drive on the following Thursday, so that'll be fun too. And we'll talk about.
Is that me?
No, that's Greg Hodgin from ZCS.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
So keep that in your minds, and we will be back on Thursday. And of course, for Michael Laine and Sean Key, remain Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies. Truth is up there.